Chapter 8. Pawn Shop. Pawn shop or bahay sanglaan in Filipino are one of the easiest and most convenient source of credit. They provide an additional source of credit especially to small borrowers who are not qualified to obtain small loans from other financial institutions. This topic explains the Pawn Shop Regulation Act, which includes the forms of business organizations, the requirements for registering a pawn shop, the lending, operation, and capitalization, among others. Governing law. Presidential Decree Number 114, otherwise known as the Pawn Shop Regulation Act, was issued to take effect, effect immediately on January 29, 1983. However, it was only on July 13, 1983, the Central Bank Circular Number 374, Rules and Regulations for Pawn Shop, was issued by the Monetary Board to implement the mandates of PD number 114. The purpose of the aforementioned law, among other things, are as follows: to regulate the establishment of pawn shop and to the place their operation on a sound and stable basis to derive the optimum advantage from them as additional source of credit, to prevent and mitigate, as far as practicable, practices prejudicial to public interest, to lay down the minimum requirements and standards under which they may be established and do business. Definition of terms. The Pawn Shop Regulation and CB Circular Number 374 have defined the following terms in relation to the business governing pawn shop. Pawn shop refers to a person or entity engaged in the business of lending money. Pawner refer to the borrower. Pawn refer to the pawn broker. Pawn, the personal property delivered by the pawner to the pawnee as security for a loan. Pawn ticket, pawnbroker's receipt for a pawn. Property include only such personal property as may actually to deliver to the control and possession of the pawnee. Voting stock, portion of the authorized capital which is subscribed and entitled to vote. Vital records consist of the loans extended, paid registration, general ledger, journal covering the current and the list of the preceding 2 years of operation, unused accountable firms and partnership stock certificate, etc. Bulky pounds refers to the household appliances which occupy considerable amounts of space that is measuring at least 1.5 by 1.5 0.5 feet. Premises refer to the area where the pawn shop product conduct its business and maintain office. Forms of business organization. The introduction of the business of pawn shop may be there in the form of a single pro- proprietorship, partnership, or corporation. Whatever may be the form of business organization, the requirements of Philippine citizens in is a paramount importance. Single proprietorship. The requirements that only Filipino citizens may own the and operate a pawn shop provide in Section 8 of PD number 114. The same sentiment is reiterated and echoed in Section 4 of CB Cellular number 374. Pawn shop established as a single proprietorship of non-Filipino owner prior to January 29, 1973. This is the same requirements imposed by Republic Act number 1180, nationalizing the retail trade in the market Philippines. Partnership. The case of a partnership, at least 70% of its capital is required to own by Filipino citizens that pawnshop established as partnership prior to January 29, 1993 with non-Filipino partners whose aggregate holding amount to move than 30%, the capital may retain the percentage of as January 29, 1973, and once reduced is required not to be increased thereafter 30% of the voting stock of such pawnshop. Section 4 CB Cellular Number 374. Corporation. A pawnshop organized as corporation at least 70% of the voting stocks is required to be owned by citizens of the Philippines. If there be no capital stock, at least 70% of the members entitled to vote be Filipino citizens. If the voting stock in a pawnshop corporation is held by another corporation, the percentage of foreign owners is computed on the basis of the foreign citizenship of the individuals owning voting stock is on or member entitled to vote the stockholders corporation. The pawnshop may retain percentage of the foreign equity of January 29, 1973, but may be reduced, and once reduced is not to be increased thereafter beyond 30% of the voting stock. Requirements of registration and licensing. Any person entity desiring to engage in the pawnshop business must register with the Bureau of Commerce in the case of the single proprietorship of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Secure a license from the appropriate city of or municipality having territorial jurisdiction over the place of establishment and operation. Documents for registration. The following documents are to be filed with the Bureau of Commerce, the Securities and Exchange Commissions. Number 1. Application under oath. Bureau of Commerce form. Article of partnership, incorporation, partnership, and or corporations. List of partners, stockholders, directors, officers. Personal data sheet of owner, partners, incorporators, directors, officers. Projected financial statement covering the first 12 months of operation. Such other documents as may be required by the Bureau of Commerce. The Securities and Exchange Commission of the Bangko Sentral. The Manual of Regulation cited to other documents, namely number 1. Certificate of Incorporation of Registration with SEC or Bureau of Commerce. Number 2. City Municipal License. The pawnshop is to be established, located, and operated in accordance with the requirements of pertinent ordinance in the city or municipal. Likewise, pawnshop duly licensed and operating before the approval of PD number 114 within 6 months from the date effectively of the said degree. Register with the Bangko Sentral the said information sheet CBP on BPI form number 1, 1973 is signed by the proprietor, managing partner, or president under oath in field with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Pawnshop business. A duly organized and licensed pawnshop must in general the power to engage in the business of lending money on the security of professional property within the framework and limitation of PD number 114 and CB Cellular number 374. Number 1. Issue rules and regulations to implement the provision contained in the said decree. Number 2. Require from pawnshop reports and condition and such other reports necessary to determine compliance with the provision of the decree. Number 3. Exercise visitorial powers whenever deemed necessary. Number 4. Impose such administrative sanctions including the imposition of fines from violation of the said decree and the regulation issued by the Bangko Sentral in pursuance thereto. Capitalization. The minimum paid in the capital of any pawnshop which may be established after the effectively presidential decree number 114 must be 100,000 pesos. However, pawnshop established and in operation prior thereto, that is before January 29, 1973, must comply with the minimum capitalization requirement indicated above within such time. Business hours. Pawnshop must transact business at a minimum of 6 hours a day to be selected by them. They may, at their discretion, remain open beyond the minimum 6 hours and for as long as they deem it necessary. The business hours must be posted conspicuously at all times at the door of every pawnshop. The business of pawnshop may be transacted at a minimum of 5 days a week to be selected by the entity concerned or more as dictated by business necessity. Lending operation. The loanable amounts that may be extended by a pawnee to a pawner must be in any way less than 30% of the appraised value of the security offered for the loan, unless the pawner manifests in writing that he is applying for a lesser amount. The pawnee is prohibited to underappraise the security offered for the loan so as not to defeat the restriction prescribed. Pawn packet. Pursuant to the mandates of the Truth of Lending Act Section 21 of CPCLR number 374, every pawnbroker is required to the time of the loan to issue each pawner a ticket containing among others the following. Number 1. Name and residence of the pawner. Number 2. Date when loans is granted. 3. Amount of the principal loan. 4. Interest rate in percent. 5. Period of maturity. 6. Description of the pawn. 7. Signature of the pawnbroker or his authorized agent. Number 8. Signature of the mark of the owner of his authorized agent. Number 9. Such other terms and conditions as may be agreed upon between the pawnbroker and the owner. A service charge is referred to as the amount required by the pawnbroker to be paid by the owner is consideration for the handling of the loan transaction and the cancellation upon full payment of the same or upon the redemption of the pawn. A pawnee may impose a service charge of 1% of the principal loan but not exceeding 5%. Renewal redemption of funds. A loan may be renewed for such amount and period as may be agreed upon between the pawnee and the pawner, subject to the same condition as may be promulgated by the Monetary Board for new loans. A pawner who fails to pay or renew his loan obligation with the pawnee on a date it falls due is entitled to have 90 days from the date of maturity of the loan within which to redeem the pawn by paying the principal amount of the loan plus the amount of interest that occurred. The notice of such public auction, published in English or in a Filipino or in the local dialect must contain the following: 1. Name and address and the name of the owner of the pawn shop. 2. Date and hour of the auction sale. The public auction may be held in any of the following place: pawnbroker place of business, any public place within the territorial limits of the municipality of city where the pawnee conducts its business. Supervisory powers of the Bangko Sentral. The official of the Bangko Sentral in charge of non-bank financial intermediaries and his duly designated representatives are authorized to conduct an examination, inspection, or investigation of books, records, business affairs, administration, and financial condition of the pawn shop, whenever said official name is necessary for the effective implementation of PD number 114 and CB Cellular number 374. Said official and his duly designated representatives may administer oaths to any director, officers, or employee of the pawn shop. Administrative sanction. The monetary board is empowered to impose upon pawn shop the provision of CB Cellular number 374 of any order of instruction of the monetary board or its authorized official or many mission or regulated the conduct of the business of the following administrative sanction: a fine of not more than 100 pesos of every day of violation or non-compliance, and or suspension or other due hearing, removal of partners, directors, officers. Penalties: a fine not less than 100 pesos, more than 1,000 pesos, or imprisonment for not less than 30 days and not more than 1 year, or both. At the discretion of the court, may be imposed for violation of the provisions of PD number 114 and its implementing rules and regulations, provided that if the violation is committed by a corporation, partnership, or an association, the penalty provided for may be imposed upon the director's office, employee, or persons therein responsible for the offense without prejudice to civil liabilities arising from the criminal offense.